mid-2000s, there was a certain kind of prestige that came with pulling out a BlackBerry. The device was more than just a phone. It was a badge of honor, a symbol of productivity and power. CEOs, politicians, celebrities, and professionals everywhere tapped out emails on those tiny physical keyboards, their thumbs dancing across the keys with practiced ease. The blinking red notification light became a beacon for urgency and influence. If you had a BlackBerry, you were someone who needed to be reached, someone who mattered. But how did BlackBerry rise to such heights? And perhaps more importantly, how did it fall so far, so fast? The story begins in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, in the mid-90s. Two engineers, Mike Lazaridis and Douglas Friggin, founded Research in Motion, RIM for short. At first, RIM was just another tech startup, dabbling in wireless communications. But Lazaridis had a vision. He believed the world was on the verge of a revolution in how people communicated. The internet was taking off, and email was changing the way business was done. What if you could bring that power, not just to a desk, but to the palm of your hand? RIM's first big break came with the two-way pager. It wasn't flashy, but it was functional. For the first time, professionals could send and receive messages on the go. But then, in 1989, RIM unveiled a device that would change everything: the BlackBerry 850. It was compact, it had a physical keyboard, and it offered push email, a feature that would become the backbone of the BlackBerry experience. Instead of checking for messages, emails came to you instantly. For busy professionals, this was nothing short of revolutionary. Word spread fast. The BlackBerry's secure, reliable messaging system became the gold standard for businesses and governments. Even the President of the United States insisted on using one, despite security concerns. Soon, BlackBerry devices were everywhere. They had a certain mystique. If you were seen using one, it meant you were plugged in, always on, and needed by someone, somewhere. The BlackBerry's rise to dominance was swift. By the mid-2000s, RIM was shipping millions of devices each year. Their market share soared. The company's stock price climbed ever higher, and Lazaridis and his team were lauded as visionaries. Competitors scrambled to keep up. The BlackBerry wasn't just a mobile device, it was the mobile device. But even as BlackBerry reached its peak, the seeds of its downfall were being sown. The very things that made it so popular, its focus on security, its iconic keyboard, its dedication to email, would soon become its limitations. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. At first, RIM's leaders weren't worried. The iPhone, with its glossy touchscreen and lack of a physical keyboard, seemed frivolous to them, more toy than tool. After all, who needed a phone that could play music, browse the web, and run apps, when what mattered most was sending and receiving emails quickly and securely? But the world was changing. Consumers began to see their phones not just as tools for work, but as gateways to a new digital lifestyle. They wanted more than just email. They wanted social media, games, photos, music, and endless possibilities with apps. Apple's App Store exploded in popularity. Google's Android platform quickly followed suit, offering a dizzying array of choices. BlackBerry, meanwhile, remained focused on its core strengths, confident that the business world would always need what it had to offer. For a time, that confidence seemed justified. BlackBerry still controlled a huge share of the corporate market, but cracks began to appear. Employees started bringing their own devices to work, demanding that IT departments support iPhones and Android phones. Suddenly, the BlackBerry's once unassailable fortress of security and email was under siege. RIM tried to respond. They launched new devices with touchscreens and even introduced their own app store. But these efforts felt half-hearted, often arriving too late and lacking the polish of their competitors. Meanwhile, Apple and Google raced ahead, innovating at a pace that left BlackBerry struggling to catch up. Leadership turmoil didn't help. RIM's co-CEOs, Mike Lazaridis and Jim Balsillie, disagreed on strategy. Should they double down on their core enterprise customers or pivot to chase the consumer market? Internal divisions slowed decision-making and muddled the company's direction. Products were delayed, launches were bungled, and user frustration grew. By the early 2010s, the writing was on the wall. Market share slipped away, quarter after quarter. Once loyal customers switched to iPhones and Androids, lured by their sleek designs and vast ecosystems of apps. BlackBerry's devices, once synonymous with prestige, began to look outdated and clunky. The company's stock price plummeted. Layoffs and restructuring followed. The BlackBerry, once a status symbol, was now more likely to be forgotten in a drawer than seen on the table at a board meeting. Yet, BlackBerry's story is more than just a cautionary tale of missed opportunities and technological disruption. The company's legacy endures in the way we communicate today. The concept of push email, secure messaging, and even the notion of being always on all trace their roots back to the BlackBerry revolution. For years, BlackBerry devices set the standard for mobile security, a reputation that lives on in the company's pivot to software and cybersecurity in later years. Looking back, it's easy to see where BlackBerry went wrong. They underestimated the pace of change. They clung too tightly to what had worked in the past. They failed to anticipate the shift from the enterprise to the consumer, from the keyboard to the touchscreen, from the tool to the experience. But for a moment in time, BlackBerry was king. It shaped the way a generation of professionals worked, connected, and lived. It brought the world a little closer together, one email at a time. Today, the BlackBerry name survives, but the devices that once defined it are gone. Still, if you ever find yourself holding one, feeling the satisfying click of those tiny keys, you'll remember a different era. An era when being important meant being connected, when the world waited for your reply, and when a simple device from Canada helped shape the future of communication. So what can we learn from BlackBerry's fall? Don't underestimate new platforms. BlackBerry saw the iPhone as a toy. It wasn't. Success can blind you. Market dominance made BlackBerry slow to adapt. Consumer experience beats corporate control. People wanted fun, apps, and design, not just email. If you don't disrupt yourself, someone else will. BlackBerry once ruled the pocket of every executive. Today, it's a cautionary tale. Technology doesn't wait for anyone. From Crackberry to cracked dreams, BlackBerry shows that even giants can fall overnight. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Boardroom Biz for more real lessons from inside the boardroom.